Look at this, folks. 126-year-old barge in the River Shannon at Ballina. And we're just going to go meet the crew. The lady who lives on it. This is her home, Hilary Hunter. This is Dave. He's going to talk to us about it in just a second. Connor.
Hello.
And we're going to help them raise funds for this, Earn to Inverness, for mental well-being. So we put that justgiving.com/page/barge for well-being, supporting this charity Inspire. So let's see, can we give them a dig out. Hilary, thanks for having us on board. The name of the boat?
Drie Gehoorde, which is three brothers in Dutch.
Can I come on board? May I?
Can, of course. Welcome aboard.
Thank you indeed. And how long is the barge?
So she's 16 metres or 52 feet
Okay.
by 4.2 metres, about 13 feet I think that is.
Okay.
She's 33 tonnes of riveted iron.
Wow.
And I've been told that pre-Hiroshima steel is the best stuff to have, so
Okay.
she'll outlive all of us probably.
For sure.
She'll have a few more skippers after us. Yeah.
Amazing. And I'd say not too many of the boats in the Shannon here would mess with you.
No, that's right. Yeah, we try and stay away from anything that's a bit squashy.
He looked at me straight in the eye and he said, "Stephen, I know what's wrong with you. You're stressed." And it was like a light bulb moment going out. And that's when I decided to get into mindfulness. And it was 6 months of training in mindfulness that really got me ready for that phone call, Colin.
And just before we get into the phone call, so because I'd forgotten that piece. I know you shared your story with me before over many cups of coffee, but I'd forgotten about those 6 months. But in those 6 months, you started training in mindfulness, did you?
It's a good point, and that's why I want to say it about it. So I done it was my first introduction to mindfulness was then, but I was doing a course. I had an 8-week mindfulness course I did called the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. It's the introduction that most people do to mindfulness because of the word stress, and that's the one reason why they're getting into it. But I think I didn't really practice mindfulness until that phone call.
You know, I'm fascinated by this whole idea of performance, you know, and if we draw a very quick line through your career, right, it's actually performance and competitiveness and the fact that you go into organizations and or perhaps one-on-one work with people to help them get their heads screwed on straight so that they can perform at a better level. Brings me back, I suppose, around to the core theme that I'm trying to explore in this season. Which is about mental resilience and mental well-being. My sense of it is it's at the core of everything. That's my sense of it. That if I'm feeling good about myself, I can get up in the morning and go out and make a difference. And if I'm not, I struggle. Now, I'll just throw that to you and see where it leads us, if I may.
I think mental health is incredibly important in terms of how people perform. You know, I think it is a central theme, and I think there's a lot of factors that feed into people's mental health, particularly at work, right? And when we've built up that resilience muscle, we can handle that better, right? Now, resilience shouldn't be having to put up with an asshole for a boss, and that's what happens too often, right? I don't care how resilient you are, if you've got an asshole for a boss, resilience is not going to help you for very long.
Fascinating stuff. When you spoke with men there, and thanks for going there, because we touched on this before we started recording. But when you said the word crossroads, right, and you were talking about men, 40s and 50s, you said crossroads, I wrote down midlife crisis. Comment?
Yeah. I am hesitant to call it midlife crisis, and it's a great word. it's a chance. How I describe it for humans is it's a chance to take a look back at, the road traveled so far, to figure what you do well, what you don't do so well yet, what you like, who you like around you, and then to take that information, those learnings, and go, okay, so what about second half? How am I going to do this? And really to upgrade for the second half. So if that's a crisis, or if it takes a crisis for that to happen, happy days, although it's not necessarily pleasant when it's happening. But actually, in the same way for women, years ago, you may remember your mother or your grandmother calling it the change. It was a great word, because it is a time for change. If you're wise, you'll review and go, second half is, I'm in it. How am I going to live it? And so, yeah, it can be very exciting and really useful, and not just mean, fast cars and younger women.
That wasn't where I was going, but I hear you. I hear you. In your introduction, you said that you avoid conflict at all costs. Have you gotten better at tackling difficult conversations if you need to?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think over the years, I came into Body First. Body First was born out of running away from conflict and running away from difficulty in previous job. And my son then was subsequently born and diagnosed with autism. And that threw me into a position where I had to speak for him. And I had to advocate because he didn't really have agency for himself. So I was sort of thrown into situations where I had to call stuff out and say, look, this is the way it is. This is what he needs. This is what we need as a family. And this is not okay. And I learned very quickly to be able to call things out and to ask for our needs and his needs to be met first.
Come here. I was going to ask you two questions. The first question was going to be the toughest time in your life, but I think we perhaps have touched on that.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that was the first time, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
My mum at 15.
Wow. Wow. Okay. You've clearly survived, and I'm 100% sure she'd be dead proud of you in this moment. A highlight in your life, a moment in your life where you thought, Fiona Dowd, Fiona Jordan, go girl.
Well, now that you've touched on my mum again, what I'm going to say is when I was in school in Manor House, in public speaking class, Colin, imagine, I wasn't a natural public speaker. I was quietly spoken, and I think you could say I was shy. I had a copy for public speaking, and this particular work that we were doing with this teacher was copy-based work, and I got an A+. So I brought it home to my mother and I showed her, and she was so proud of me, right? But she wasn't proud because of the A+. She was proud because having a shy, quiet daughter, she knew what it would have taken to overcome to get that A+. So